21st of January, Rabbi Levitt, Pele Yoetz.
Yeah, well, we're doing the publication, page 196. The printing press, yes, it must have been about 600 years ago by now, with Gutenberg, a German printer. He printed the first Bible, and it developed from then.
So that made it much easier to have more Sforim, because it's of course much easier to print a sefer using the printing press than it is to hire a scribe to write it out entirely by hand, like a Sefer Torah.
I heard.
Time, right?
What's that?
One book at a time.
Yes, with a scribe. Yes, I heard a fascinating talk about the first printing of a Jewish sefer of the Tanakh and the problems that printing brings about. For example, when you're printing, you have to have trial prints. You can't just go straight ahead. You have to check it out to see that everything lines up and everything prints out correctly, which means that there's a lot of waste, and a lot of the waste is got Lashon HaKodesh on it. You have to be careful about that. There are other problems. Other problems with printing a sefer, a Kodesh sefer. So it's not so straightforward as it is maybe printing anything else.
Oh, you mean a secular book?
Yeah.
Yeah, they just print whatever they want to print.
Yes, and if it's wrong, they
Well,
just.
there's actually problems with that too, but they don't take into account that there are
no, of course not.
Issues with that as well. But
No.
that's another story.
But, you know, when waste falls onto the floor, it doesn't bother them. They just sweep it up. But if something gets discarded from a Jewish press and it falls onto the floor, you can't just sweep it up. You've got to be careful.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm.
But,
so this is so then he says that this is the story with the publishing, that since the publishing is he says it's you know, it costs money to publish it, and the print, the author of the sefer is not generally a wealthy individual, and so he has to go soliciting to get funds to pay for the publishing of the sefer. And I think that's even the case, even the case today. Why we see many svarim that are published, and they all have on each page or at the beginning of the sefer, they say this sefer has been dedicated by so and so, and they're tremendous Torah supporters and supporters of Torah, and they're very generous, and et cetera, et cetera. So even, you know, even though seems like, you know, hundreds of thousands of people are buying the sefer, but it's the expense of some Svarim is tremendous because since they are Torah based, they require extensive research by whole teams of Talmidei Chachamim. And in order to publish the Sefer, you basically have to pay for a whole year of scholars like studying in a kollel to make the Sefer. Especially is this so with the Sforim like the rendition of the Talmud Bavli or any Sefer like that is a tremendous undertaking, tremendous costs, and those have to be covered. Those costs have to be covered. So they have. That's why you have the Schottenstein. Everybody here in Eretz Yisrael, they call it Schottenstein. Who is Schottenstein? Why is it called Schottenstein? What does he have to do with it? Well, if it wouldn't be for him, you wouldn't have that Sefer. Well, Hashem wanted it to come out, and he was the shliach. He was the shliach that Rabbi Meir Zlotowitz, Zeichet Tzadik L'Bracha, made the connection, and therefore we have the art scroll, the Talmud Bavli, Schottenstein. And I don't think he's the only one, but he I guess the he's the one that got his name on the Sefer. Everybody knows him, that family.
Steinsaltz, I think, did some publications also.
Oh, so how did that come about?
I don't know.
There was no contributor.
It's under his name, I think.
Yeah, I know it's under his name, but he I guess maybe he funded it.
Hmm.
Okay. Yeah. All right, but the Art Scroll series, in addition to all of the contributors whose names are listed in the beginning of all the Sforim, you also find something else. You find the Haskamas, you find the rabbinic approbations of every single all the leaders of the generation have endorsed that work, and that was a very important part of the whole story over there. That it was always done. Art Scroll was always done with the guidance of the Gedolei Torah, both in America as well as in Eretz Yisrael. And you'll see that in every single sefer that at least of the Gemara I know, that they have like 20 different letters of all the Gedolei Ador, all the greatest Talmidei Chachamim of the generation. They've sought their and it's also not simply that they just do the sefer and then they just go get the haskama after they do the whole sefer, but they're guided by these Torah leaders, and they ask questions to them, and they what they write and how they write, and every aspect of the endeavor in Art Scrolls is according to the Gedolei Torah. So that's a tremendous thing. What they just a tremendous thing. service. That's what he's saying here, the Pele Yoetz. It's a tremendous service to the Jewish people. That's that's what is to be contributed to, that these Sforim will be of benefit to the Jewish people. It will increase the study of Torah. It will increase the study of Jewish learning. Okay, so that's publication. Okay, so now we have a round of applause for page 196 and diffuse. And now we go to Dira, dwelling. We call upon Alan.
Okay, a person needs to be very careful about the location of his dwelling. Behold, our sages in Berkos 8a said, a person should always dwell in the place of his rabbi. If he is able to dwell in the place of a Torah scholar, he too will find good. At least he should live near a totally righteous and upright man. This can be compared to someone who dwells near a persimmon tree, absorb its fragrant smell. A person should not live near an evil man. This can be compared to someone who dwells near kerosene and absorbs its putrid smell. Our sages in Avos 1:7 already said, distance yourself from the evil neighbor. They, the game 12:6, also said, woe to the wicked man, woe to his neighbor, good unto the righteous man, good unto his neighbor. However, the person who lives near a Torah scholar should visit him frequently and learn from his ways. If he will not do so, it is better that he not live near him, for he will be doubly punished because he could have learned and he did not. Also, a man should choose the city in which he will live, as I wrote about it in his place, especially if he can live in the land of Israel. Our sages in Ketubah 110b remark, the person who lives in the land of Israel is like someone who has a God. It is known that Jerusalem is the most holy place in the land of Israel. Therefore, a person who so yearns and exerts effort to live in our land should choose the best and establish his dwelling in Jerusalem, the holy city, and it be rebuilt and established freely in our day. Unless he thinks that in a different city he will be more settled, capable of serving Hashem. If this is so, then even living in diaspora is better than living in the land of Israel. This is true because this is the whole of man, that he should serve his Creator a complete and perfect service, and that he should be a resting place for holiness. It is written in Shemot 25:8, and they will make for me a holy place, and I will dwell among them. The sages see also there explain, in it is not written, rather in them, and it is written in Unia 7:5, they are the sanctuary of Hashem. The Holy Zohar, Tikkun Zohar 2:7 says, fortunate is a man who makes a befitting inheritance for the divine presence in his heart. In any case, at least in his old age, it is a time to have a compassion on his soul and return the charge to Hashem. He should do everything in his power to immigrate to a place of the altar. It should be the location of his death, burial, and honorable resting place. He must pray for this all the days of his existence. Just like the declaration of David and Noah in Deuteronomy 27:4, one thing I ask to Hashem, to behold the pleasantness of Hashem and to visit in the sanctuary, perhaps Hashem will hear his prayer.
Okay. Well, Baruch Hashem. We are, Hashem has given us the schus to live here in Yerushalayim, the holiest city in Eretz Yisrael, which is the holiest country in the world. Baruch Hashem. Chazdei Hashem. Just it does, however, say that there are situations, he says, unless he thinks that in a different city he will be more settled and capable of serving Hashem. If this is so, then even living in the diaspora is better than living in the land of Israel. Why would that be? This is true because this is the whole of man. The whole of man, in other words, is not simply to live in the land of Israel. The whole of man is to serve Hashem. So since the Holy Land is a holy place, and then Yerushalayim is Yer Kodesh, so that would appear to be the place where a person would be able to serve Hashem in the best possible way in that place. But if he thinks that there's a different place, and if this is so, then of course for him, then to live in the diaspora would be better than to live even in the land of Israel. So in other words, now that we are here, we should make the best of it, take the opportunity and chaperayim, and endeavor to do everything we can to serve Hashem in the best way that we possibly can. Okay. Very good. Right, and then he goes on. This is what's involved in serving Hashem in the best possible way. I think that's what he's focusing on. He's progressing to that point, and that's the whole idea of what he brings out is fortunate is the man who makes a befitting inhabitants for the divine presence in his heart. So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about Dira. It's not only where it is that we live, but the whole idea is to live in the place that we can serve Hashem the best. And how is it that we serve Hashem the best? When we make a place of dwelling for Hashem in our heart. That's the way to do it. And of course, that is by living with Hashem in everything that we do, and everything that we do. And this is what a Parshas Matan Torah, Parshas Yisro this week, the giving of the Torah. And we heard today that the Vilna Gaon says in Mishlei that the first mitzvah that Hashem gave to the Jewish people, the first thing that he said to them was Anochi Hashem Elokecha, Asher hotzeisicha mi'eretz Mitzrayim, and this is the mitzvah of Emunah that we have, that we know who Hashem is, and that we know that He is in charge of everything, and He's guiding us, and He's with us, and He's assisting us at every moment that we are here in this world, and that's what it means to live with Hashem, is to make a place for Hashem, for the Shekhinah in His own heart, to live with Hashem, to live with these ideas of Emunah, that Hashem is with us, and everything that He's doing with us is for the absolute best. And the Vilna Gaon says an amazing thing. He says that this mitzvah, this first mitzvah Emunah, obviously it must be a very important thing because it's the first thing that Hashem said to us at Har Sinai. But another thing he says it's not simply the most important mitzvah. He says that all the other mitzvahs are in order that we should live with Hashem and fulfill the mitzvah of Emunah in Hashem and living with Hashem. All of the mitzvahs are really an expression of that first mitzvah of living with Hashem and living with Emunah and knowing that Hashem is with us and knowing that Hashem loves us and knowing that everything that happens to us is from His divine decree for the best. And so this is the ultimate way to. It seems that the Pele Yoetz is finishing up over here in his talk over here about dwelling. That the main dwelling that we have to focus on is to make sure that Hashem is the one who's dwelling in our hearts. Ezrat Hashem, we should be Zocher. And if we do that, then we'll be living with tremendous happiness. Ezrat Hashem. Okay. And now we go to Da'aga, worry. Lou, would you like to continue?
It is written, a man should suppress a worry in his heart. Our sages explained this to mean that he should remove it from his heart or that he should discuss it with others. Both explanations are true. In the beginning, a man should attempt to remove it from his mind with pure thoughts and logical arguments that are capable of suppressing anxiety. If this does not work, then he should discuss it with others, meaning Torah scholars and men of erudition who can direct him with proper advice, offer calming words that eliminate worry and settle the heart. A wise man already said, the past is no longer the future. The past is no longer, the future is not yet. Why worry? If the matter has already passed, what good will worry do? Can't he return it? Is it not enough that he already experienced the misfortune? Why should he add on the grief of worry and live a life of pain? Let him remove it from his mind. If it is something which is in the future and he is capable of correcting it, let him do so. If it cannot be fixed, what good will worry do? Let him trust in God and rely upon his master. This is a fundamental approach to removing anxiety.
Okay, so there we have it. The fundamental approach to removing anxiety is to have emunah and be talking in Hashem. How was it that this happened? It was because it was the Gezerah of Hashem. That's why it happened. Hashem wanted it to happen that way. But maybe it's not good. What? Of course it's good. Of course it's good. But I don't see that it's very good. Okay, that's right. Because we don't see the same way that Hashem sees it. And we don't know all the things that Hashem knows. And so that's where emunah comes in. That we got to know that even though it looks to us, it may not even, two things. It looks to us like we could have avoided it. If we only would have done that, and if we should have done that, and if we could have done that, all those words, would have, could have, and should have, are not part of the vocabulary of a Jew who has emunah and be talking in Hashem. There's no such thing. There's no such thing. In other words, perhaps he could have or should have or would have done something else, but it wouldn't have changed the results. That's what we mean to say. It would not have changed the result. The result, what happened, was because that's the way Hashem wanted it to happen. For the future, okay, you can try to improve to do this or do that or do the other thing, whatever you want to do to improve. Very good. But if it happened, it's good. It needed to happen. It did happen. That's why it happened, and it's good. And therefore there's no place for worrying. Worrying is totally no. It doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense at all. Doesn't make any sense at all. Anxiety and worry are can in most cases can be removed when a person develops emunah and bitaken. And the Stipler does say, though, that there are certain people that have more of a natural inclination to worry and to anxiety. This is true. People are different, and Hashem made them different. And that's all Mina Shamayim as well. And so if a person is like that, he shouldn't worry that he's a worrier. He shouldn't be anxious that he has anxiety, because that's the way Hashem made him. And what should he do about it? Do his exercises. Learn about Emunah. Learn about Bitaken. It will help. It certainly will help. It certainly will make his decrease his worry and anxiety. But after he's done his exercise and he still feels anxious and nervous and worried, don't be worried or anxious or nervous about the fact that you feel that way. Okay. Okay, Roy is up with the next paragraph.
Another fundamental approach is to think and believe with total faith that no bad descends from heaven. And everything that the compassionate one does is for the good, whether the good of the body or the good of the soul. Everything which appears to be evil, God has thought of it for the good. Sometimes it is revealed to man, and he says, I thank you, for you have answered me, and you are my salvation. Tintilim. Sometimes it remains hidden from man. The Holy One, blessed be he, wants to afflict him in order to spare him from death and to save his soul from descending into the netherworld. If so, why worry? To what can this be compared? To a man who was sentenced to death by the government, and by virtue of the king's pity, his sentence was mitigated with a few lashes to his legs or payment of a few small coins. This person will certainly accept this judgment with joy and will thank and praise the king. So too is this matter. Behold, our sages in Pesachim commented on the verse in Tehillim, give thanks to God, for he is good. That God collects a man's debt for his benefit, his glass breaks, his wine spills, his chicken dies, and similar things, because part of the soul is like the whole soul. God's kindness is so great that even that which he takes actually belongs to him. To what can this be compared? To the king who tells his debtor, every man knows that a debt to the king cannot be voided. However, do this, take this sack of gold coins, pay off your debt to me, and with the remainder, sustain yourself and your family.
Wow.
Are there sweeter words than these? So too the Holy One, blessed be he, collects the debt of a man for his good. He gives and gives and gives again. He provides for his deficiencies and he gives him extra. God impoverishes and enriches. He injures and heals the wounds. He causes death and he gives life in such a way that a person need not worry about his passing away. God does not take a person's life for any bad reason, but for his good. He is the planner of all events. If before God his death is proper, for us, how much more so? We have to say, only to say, that which is good in God's eyes and satisfying before the holy throne, he will do, I accept everything with goodwill and joy.
Wow. Okay, so that's Emunah and Bitochen. This last paragraph, um, the only thing that it causes me to think is that in the first paragraph he wasn't talking about that, because he starts off this paragraph by saying another fundamental approach. In other words, another fundamental approach to alleviating a worry and anxiety and nervousness is that's what he's saying over here, is to is Emunah and Bitochen. So, in other words, before, when he started off the first paragraph, he was saying that person is worried, so he should suppress the worry in his heart. Or then the Gemara says he should discuss it with others, and so what that means is he should attempt to remove it himself with pure thoughts and logical arguments that are capable of suppressing anxiety. Meaning to say, I think that without Emunah and Bitochen, but just to say, what is there to worry about? There's not anything to worry about. Use logical arguments. It's not having anything to do with Emunah and Bitochen. And then he says, okay, if he can't do it himself, he should go to Talmud Chacham or someone. Maybe he could think of something. And it's not logical to worry. Not a matter of Emunah. But the second paragraph is, and there's another fundamental approach to removing anxiety and worry and nervousness, and that is Emunah and Bitochen. Not to say that that's the Emunah and Bitochen is not logical, but it's a different approach than the approach that he was saying in the first paragraph. Okay. Good. So, a round of applause for page 198. No more daga. No more worries. And now we go to Divrei Chachamim, the words of the sages. We call upon Alan to continue, please.
Divrei Chachamim, words of the sages. It is well known that a violation of the words of the sages is more severe than a violation of the words of Torah. Whoever violates the words of the sages is obligated for the death penalty. Verse 4b. Many ignorant people are mistakenly lenient and violate the words of the sages because they think they are wiser than our sages. Example, milk that was milked by a non-Jew without any Jewish supervision, which is prohibited by the sages because of the concern that there might be non-kosher milk mixed in it. Those people who are definite or defying claim the only reason that it is forbidden is because of the concern about the non-kosher milk. We declare that one can legitimately assume that there is no non-kosher milk mixed in. With that, they would be truly wise and understand that all of the words of the sages are relevant and permanent. They will never be nullified and were not given for personal circumstances. In several places they said the rabbis made no distinction. One who violates their words, even if in truth the milk came from a kosher animal, there are those who say it is as if he eats meat from the dead of a certain animal. Really, we have only to follow the words of the sages, since besides the stated reason there are hidden secrets. One who is guided by the integrity of the upright will not deviate from the words to the left or to the right, to the right or to the left in regards to rabbinical prohibitions, enactments, decrees, and sage advice that are scattered throughout the Talmud. The Spirit of Hashem spoke through them, and a person who listens to them will dwell in security, tranquility, and free from the fear of evil. He will find favor and good understanding in the eyes of God and men. And Mary gathered the sayings scattered throughout the Talmud, Holy Zohar, Midrashim, and other works to the best of our ability in the temple. Fortunate is the man who listens to me, diligently studies his treatises. A wise man who listens increase instruction and not transgress it. The man who violates their words and does not follow their wise counsel is worthy of death, even if this is only one word. The mitzvah of heeding their words suffices to protect a man and bring him success in all of his ways.
Okay. Good. So shall we go to the next section? Darshan. Would you like to continue, Lou?
You're
Okay,
muted.
Darshan. Or orator. How good is a speech delivered to the many? Yet there are many conditions that need to be fulfilled. The first one is that the speaker must pray that he be saved from arrogance and the evil eye, and that his words should produce fruit. He should also pray that his tongue should be articulate in order to speak his words with pleasantness and clarity in such a manner that his words are becoming to his listeners, like a bride who is beloved to her groom. As our sages wrote in Shir Hashirim Rabbah, Perek 4, Pasuk Nofet. The second one is that he should not be verbose, but short and to the point. Less is better. Thirdly, he must be careful in the honor of people so that no one will be publicly humiliated because of his words. And he should not speak about them in error or accusingly. He should include himself with them by saying, the path upon which we walk is not good. Let us go and walk by the light of God. A speaker must be careful of the suspicion that he speaks only for his own benefit. Therefore, he must not speak at length regarding the obligation to act charitably towards Torah learners, to respect and fear Torah scholars and similar practices. A person should always review a speech to himself in order that it will be easy for him to present. Sometimes he needs to skip certain parts that he realizes are not appropriate to be publicly spoken or that do not make sense to him at the moment. If he needs to reorganize his presentation, he will not need to delay an extended period, which would be an embarrassment for a Torah scholar. A wise man should listen and increase instruction. A thing in its appropriate time is the best.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so
if he prays that he should be saved from arrogance, why does he have to pray that he'll be saved from the evil eye? Isn't that the same thing?
no, evil eye is the problem with the evil eye is what you're doing is you're attributing power to other people over you, which is people should not be worried that people have power over them. No one has power over them. Hashem is the only one that has any power. But okay, so he's saying that this is one way to see. The issue is like this. This issue is like this. This person over here who's giving this drasha, is he doing something that he's obligated to do? If he's doing something which is the Ratzon Hashem, and it's something that he's obligated to do, so why should he have to worry about other people? He's protected by his mitzvah. He's doing what he's supposed to do. If he would not do this, he should be more worried. If this person is the person who people want and need that he should speak in public, to teach them, to give them inspiration, of course that's what he must do. There's no doubt about that. The only thing is that true. He should not become arrogant by the fact that, oh, see, he's the one that everybody needs to hear from me, and that means that I'm superior to everyone. Chas v'sholom. He should not think such things. Of course not. And that's something that he has to ask Hashem to help him with. Certainly, that doesn't mean that anybody has power over him. That means that he's asking for Hashem to perfect his character traits. That's certainly acceptable. That's not inconsistent with Emunah and Hashem. But in fact, we heard a story on the Life of Bitachon that there was a certain Talmid Chacham that went to Rav Moshe, and he said that he wants to write a sefer, but he's worried about the ayin hara. He's worried about he's worried about gaiva. He's worried about ayin hara. He's got all sorts of worries involved in writing this sefer. What'll people be jealous of me? I'm not doing, who asked me to do this? And Rav Moshe told him, he gave him a mussar shmuz. He said, people need for you to write this sefer, and don't worry about becoming arrogant. Don't worry about anything. This is what you need to do, and you have to do it. And I'm expecting to hear the when you finish, you'll come to me and you'll tell me. And don't worry about a thing. This is what you have to do. This is what Hashem wants you to do. What, you should not do what Hashem wants you to do because you're worried about these things? No, that's not the correct thing to do. So, but of course, it's absolutely true what the Pele Yoetz is saying. Of course, a person, he has to think to himself, though, to make sure that he doesn't become arrogant by being honored to publish a sefer, or to be the Rav and get up in front of everyone and speak, and of course he has to. He shouldn't let it go to his head. Of course not. Of course that's true. There's another thing also that I'll mention that we also heard this week on the Life of Bitachon, that sometimes a person is asked to speak at a Sheva Brachas, and he says, "Oh, I'm not a speaker. Oh, I'm blah blah blah," and that. He says, what's the real reason that a person doesn't want to do that? You know why?
He's embarrassed
Why? Embarrassed of what?
of speaking in public. Some people are.
What's to be embarrassed about?
I don't know, but some people are embarrassed about speaking in public.
That's what we're talking about. Why is a person embarrassed to speak in public?
Maybe because
Okay, if he's very-
he feels like he will do a lousy job and
Oh,
he'll be embarrassed by it.
okay. So what's he worried about?
His
What
honor.
will people
People's
think of
opinion.
him?
Hmm.
He's worried about what people will think of him.
Right.
Is that a reason to not do the mitzvah of speaking at a Sheva Brachas? The Baal Simcha has asked you to speak at a Sheva Brachas, and for him it'll be a nakas, and he wants to hear you speak, and it's a covet to him and to his simcha that you wanna that you're willing to honor his request to you to speak at the Sheva Brachas. Oh no, I can't do that. Why? Because I'm afraid of what people will think of me. I'm afraid to make a mistake. I'm afraid that my speech won't be, they won't like my speech. Sorry, that's not a good reason. Don't be afraid of people. The person who's afraid of people, he's so afraid of people, is not good. Why? Because it means that the more a person is afraid of people, the less he's afraid of Hashem, in most cases.
Mhm.
And the more a person is afraid of Hashem, he's less worried about what people will think of him, because he knows that this is what Hashem wants him to do, and he goes ahead and does it. What will people think? Who cares? They're not the ones that we need to serve. We need to serve Hashem. That's the idea.
What if he's frightened of what Hashem might think?
Well, also,
What's Hashem gonna think? He's gonna think that he's doing a mitzvah. He's accepting the request of the Baal Simcha to make him to give him the honor of speaking at the Sheva Brachas. That's what the Baal Simcha wants him to do.
Hmm.
He's giving honor to the Baal Simcha. He's giving honor to the Simcha that he has.
Hmm.
And this that he may say this or may say that, and it's not 100%. No. So what did you think? That you're the greatest speaker in the world? And if you make a mistake, then somebody's going to say, oh, he's not the greatest speaker in the world. Nonsense. So what? Don't be afraid of people.
Hmm. I'm sure that's easier said than done. Yeah.
But the first step, okay, but the first step is to know that that's what we have to do.
Hmm.
We have to know that it's not a healthy thing to be afraid of people. It's not good for our avodas Hashem. Sometimes it hinders us from being able to do what Hashem wants us to do. If we're going to be afraid of anyone, let's be afraid of Hashem. Let's worry about what He thinks, and not so afraid of what other people think. Okay.
11:31.
11:30. 11:31. Everybody have a wonderful Shabbos, Matan Torah, Parshas Yisro.
It's,
Shabbat Shalom, Rabbi. Thank you so much. Have a good day, everybody.
it's
Have a great
the
day.
it's the parsha of one of our children.
Oh, Mazel
Parsha.
Tov.
Yeah.
Very good.
This is the bar mitzvah parsha of my son, Ruvain.
Oh, there you are, two of us. Two of us.
Wow, Mazel Tov.
Yeah.
Bezrat Hashem. Should have a lot of nachas.
I remember I put so much work into learning this parsha so that I could teach it to him.
Hmm.
Wow. Baruch Hashem.
I spent hundreds of hours practicing laning this parsha.
Wow, really?
Wow.
Oh, laniness.
I
You
taught him how to
him
lane it. Yeah. He laned the whole
Really?
Parsha.
Wow,
Mhm.
wow. That's quite an accomplishment.
Yeah, yeah.
Hashem. Well, that's something he'll have
Good.
always.
Mhm.
Baruch Hashem. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing to be able to lane. Very nice. Okay.
Right.
All right.
Good Shabbos
Shabbat
to everyone.
shalom.
Good Shabbos, everybody. Good
Alan, I
Shabbos.
got your message. I will definitely inform you if I hear.
Yeah, okay. All right, thank you.
Oh, and remember to call Yechiel Bortz, the house at least, to find out what's doing.
Oh, okay, good idea.
Good idea, yeah. I'm reminding myself. I haven't done so yet.
Amen.
All right.
All right, call
All the
two.
best.